What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast presented by ImmaculateSports.com. Twitter's at ImacSports.
Instagram is also at ImacSports.
TikTok and YouTube, Immaculate Sports. It's episode 275, onto the last week of the regular season, week 18 of the NFL. A lot of chaos. At least 3 standalone games that at least were a win and in. Now it's a win plus a tiebreaker, and you're in, that we'll get to. We're also talking college football playoff, and we're talking some rookies today, too.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun episode, a little bit of everything. But I guess a little bit more steered towards the younger players in the NFL, and then obviously college guys as well, too. We'll do our predictions for the quarterfinals that we have starting tomorrow, and then obviously into the New Year's. With all the 3 big games that we have on that day, normal player, pitcher, rookie in the week. And then we got our rookie, QB, and running back rankings. There's 8 QBs, 9 running backs that we'll rank. Pretty much everybody that's had sufficient enough play time where you can get a full sample size on them is going to be who we're ranking today. But before we get into that, we've got to talk about the best thing that we saw this past week, and you have the Pop-Tart Bowl.
I'm always going to love bowl games, and I'm going to watch them even if they mean nothing. And you could say that this game meant nothing too, even, but the guys were playing hard, I'll tell you that. The Pop-Tart Bowl this year was number 12 BYU, who just misses out. They're supposed to play Notre Dame. Them plus about 12 other teams opted out. They said it wasn't worth it to play. Georgia Tech, though, is ranked 22nd. They had a pretty good year with Haynes King, his last career game in college. And they lose to BYU. BYU wins 25-21. Great comeback win. Bear Bachmeier, the freshman, looked great. I know a lot of people are kind of triggered by his number 47 that he wears, but what a great freshman year for BYU, who, normally would not be ranked up here, even on a pretty good season like they did have. So that was probably the best game I was able to watch because my Jets suck, basically.
Yeah, that was a good game. Coincided with the beginning of the Texans-Chargers game, so I think once that game was on, I turned on the NFL game because there's a bit more higher stakes there rather than who eats the strawberry cinnamon Pop-Tart at the end. But good for BYU and their bowl victory. My favorite thing I saw this past week happened on Christmas morning, and it was Tyler Soderstrom inking a 7-year, $86 million extension with the A's that puts his contract through 2032 with the team with a 2033 club option. He's now the 3rd player that's locked into the 2030s with the A's: Brent Rooker, Lawrence Butler, and Tyler Soderstrom. He gets the biggest contract in A's history, I believe, also in years, not just by total lump sum money. Just a cool scenario because I think when you think of this core for the A's, Tyler Soderstrom's not really the guy that you initially think of, or even the second guy, or maybe even the 3rd or 4th guy. But the fact that shows that he's able to still get a 7-year, $86 million contract and have people think, oh, that's a good contract for the team, just shows how good this future is for the A's team. Still only 24 years old as well, too. Born in November of 2001, so only a year older than me, or not a year, a month older than me, but pretty cool to have him locked up for a long time. We saw the official press conference for Soderstrom happen earlier today. It was the first, I believe, actual press conference with the player in Vegas that they've had, which is kind of cool, I guess. Dave Forrest said that he is in a unique position now as A's GM since in his time that he's been there with the amount of money he's able to spend, and kind of hinted at some more extensions possibly happening soon as well too. Obviously, guys like Kurtz and Wilson come to mind, but real A's fans, Shea Langoliers needs to get locked up. We got some other guys that we need some tending to as well too, and maybe even add a starting pitcher. Not that's currently on the team, somebody from free agency or even in the trade market, it could be a possibility. But getting Sody locked up is cool. Definitely a feel-good moment for the organization, and feel-good moment for the fans as well, too, I would say.
Kind of our worst nightmare coming alive with guys getting signed as soon as they leave. But it's not like we're going to be rooting for any other baseball team. So yeah, we'll take it.
It is what it is. Someone who's went with this with the Raiders.
Yeah.
I'm too big of a fan to just forget about the team. And if you aren't, good for you. But then you don't have a baseball team, so sucks to suck as well too. But moving on to our defensive player, and rookie of the week back in the NFL now, because there's no baseball season right now, unless we're talking Australian League. But I don't think we know anybody playing there. We'll move into player of the week. Skyler, who'd you choose here?
Derrick Henry had one of those games where he turns into the Hulk and he proves that he's still got it. 4 touchdowns, 200-plus yards against the Packers. And now his Ravens have a win-and-you're-in game against Pittsburgh. Pretty good. Doesn't get much better than that. They score 41 points without Lamar Jackson. That is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, 36 carries. That's a lot. And for him to get 216 yards, not have a carry over 30 yards, still have 4 touchdowns, really just be as dominant as he was the entire game. Then the Ravens put up 41 points in Green Bay without Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's worthy of a player of the week. Keeps your team back in contention. Now it's a win, you're in type game. If they lost, if the Steelers win, then the game doesn't even matter. Derrick Henry gets the player of the week. Also, do feel like Brock Purdy deserves a shout out as well, too. A pretty ridiculous game on Sunday Night Football against the Bears. I know he threw a pick on the first play of the game, but after that, he was very dominant. Very Mahomes-esque in his ability to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. And, even though he's not physically gifted, he's definitely mentally gifted in the way that he understands where he needs to be and make plays. So shout out to Brock Purdy as well, too, with his ridiculous game. But Derrick Henry, King Henry, gets his crown for player of the week. On to defensive player of the week. Another week where we just did not have a ton of defense.
Yeah. I've got an honorable mention for Denzel Ward. He shuts down the Steelers all game, but to knock away the ball from MVS, who is my size, multiple times to end the game is pretty cool. However, Jesse Bates is the defensive player of the week for me. He set the tone right away last night. Pick 6 off of Matt Stafford. Him and guys like Xavier Watts and A.J. Terrell, they completely shut down the Rams and maybe even saved Raheem Morris's job last night.
Yeah, Jesse Bates, defensive player of the week as well for me too. Another player of the week, honorable mention, Bijan Robinson had a crazy game in this one, but Jesse Bates, pick 6, really gave the feel of like, oh, maybe the Falcons actually can win this one. It's not just a good start in this game. They do end up getting the victory. Obviously doesn't keep them alive, but definitely, warrants some recognition going into next year as well too. But Jesse Bates, big-time safety. We know this when he came over from Cincinnati. He made a big play last night, pick 6, to get the Falcons W. And also another honorable mention for defensive player of the week. I did want to shout out Myles Garrett, even though he didn't get a sack. You could tell that whole game was game planned around him. And like reports said, like Myles Garrett even said, it really felt like the Steelers were more worried about Myles Garrett not breaking the record than they were about winning the game. Aaron Rodgers was seriously bothered by Myles Garrett. And even though he played it off with a smile, you could tell that there's stuff going on there. So Myles Garrett didn't put up the stats, so to speak, but still a ridiculous week by him. On to rookie of the week.
Yeah, Tyler Shough. He's been great. Very close to a player of the week, too, probably on that list as well. But I wasn't ready to go there yet. Obviously, you weren't either. But he wins the battle of the rookies this week over Cam Ward. 333, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, very efficient, making a great case for rookie of the year right now, which I didn't think was possible with the amount of games that he watched on the sideline.
Yeah, we got 4 rookie QB wins this past week. Quinn Ewers wins his first game. Sheduer Sanders beats the Steelers. Tyler Shough beats the Titans. And Jaxson Dart, of course, beats the Raiders as well, too. But really all 5 of those guys not named, or 4 guys, plus Cam Ward makes the 5th guy, all played really well this past week. I did go with Tyler Shough, though, because he's been the most consistent. And I felt like had the most clear and easy game and no bad play game of any player in this rookie quarterback world that we have going on right now. He did fumble once, but outside of that, 22 for 27, 333, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I said this a couple weeks ago when we were doing our mid-season record predictions. I said I had the Saints finishing at 7-10, and now they're 6-10 and still have a game to play. That was all because of Shough and what he's done, and I am completely bought down on him. He's a stud, and if he's playing quarterback for you, I think you're in good hands, even if he is 27. Moving on to the college football playoff. We have 4 games, start 1 tomorrow and 2 or 3 on the new year, like I mentioned earlier. The first game, Miami versus Ohio State. Tomorrow night, Ohio State's a 9.5-point favorite. We're just doing picks for this round, so we're not going to do, our future matchups. We'll get into that once we have to get into that. But Miami versus Ohio State at Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys. Who's winning here?
In the Cotton Bowl, I don't think it's impossible. Miami's defense has been pretty much the only reason why they're still here right now. So I'm not expecting any blowout. But I also don't trust Carson Beck to keep up with the Buckeyes. I agree with the line here. I got Ohio State 23-13, around a 10-point game.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good line here and a pretty good over-under at 40.5. I don't think this game is going to be one where you really feel like there's a chance that Ohio State loses this game. But it never really gets crazy out of hand where it's a 30-point game or something like that. I'd say a 24-10 victory, Ohio State. So moving on, New Year's morning for the people that are up by 9 a.m. Debatably the worst game. I don't know if this is the worst game. It's probably the best game. But the 2, I'd say, worst teams out of here, Oregon and Texas Tech. I phrased that wrong, but you kind of got what I was getting.
Yeah.
Capital One Orange Bowl, Hard Rock Stadium in Florida, Oregon and Texas Tech. Oregon's 2.5-point favorite, 51.5-point total over under. What do you think here?
I'm sticking with Oregon. Texas Tech has an amazing roster, but this is the best team that they've seen in years. The defense is going to be much better than what Oregon saw from JMU, but when the Red Raiders played Arizona State earlier this year, the best offense on their schedule, they lost. They didn't look very good. So I got Oregon by 1 possession. 31-26 is what I said. So getting the cover, maybe a little more than that.
I don't love Oregon's defense. 34 points, although half of them were garbage time, meaningless points for JMU in this last playoff matchup that we saw a couple weeks ago. That was enough for me to be like, okay, if they play a real team, there might be some issues here. And no shot at Texas Tech, but I just don't think they're a real team yet either. So I'll say Oregon wins by a possession, but it's, again, one of those backdoor up 13, you allow a touchdown with 25 seconds left to make it a 7-point game. I do think it gets high scoring. I'd say both teams at least 25 plus. I'll go 35-30 as a final score. Next up, 1 o'clock, my favorite game of the college football year every single time, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Alabama and number 1 Indiana, led by Heisman quarterback Fernando Mendoza. 7-point favorite Iowa, 48.5 total. What do you think happens here?
I've got a weird feeling about this game, Kyle. And, after Alabama has that crazy comeback in Norman, it was very Saban-esque of them. But the Hoosiers just shut down the most dangerous team in the nation in their last game. I'm not ready to kill that special of a season from Indiana, so I'm going to have Indiana winning, but 27-24. Alabama gets that first underdog cover for me in this one.
Yeah, Alabama obviously, has a pretty good win already on this college football resume, going into Oklahoma and taking down the Sooners. Ty Simpson felt like he had his best game in the last, 6 to 8 games. I'm not doing the 6-7 there. 6 to 8 games. Felt comfortable. We knew Oklahoma's defense has been the reason why they even got to that point. Indiana, I would say, honestly, a pretty similar defense, but the offense of Indiana is a whole lot better than what you're going to see from Oklahoma. I'd say this game goes over the spread or over the over-under. I say not Iowa. They would not win this game. Indiana wins this game by 10. I'll go 34-24 for the victory for the Hoosiers. Now on to the 5 o'clock primetime game at the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans Superdome. Ole Miss versus Georgia, SEC battle. Already seen these two teams play. How do you think this one plays out? UGA 6.5-point favorite, over under at 55.5.
I hope we get another great game here. Georgia won 45-35 earlier this year. It was very back and forth. Ole Miss best player, running back Keywan Lacey, has been dealing with a lot of injuries over the past month, but he is going to play. So if he could do some damage, get on the scoreboard early, force Gunnar Stockton to make some mistakes late in this game, they got a chance. But this Georgia team and Georgia defense has just been on an absolute tear at the end of the season. So I got the Bulldogs winning by 10, 34-24. I would imagine the rivalry aspect, again, would prevent a blowout. But we've seen crazier things happen. Either way, I got Georgia covering here.
Yeah. Only matchup in this round that we saw both these teams play each other earlier in the year. Georgia won, like you said, 43-35 in a bit of a crazy game where Georgia came back in that fourth quarter against them. Gunnar Stockton had perhaps his best game of the year, 26-31, 289, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And the Ole Miss offense, once they got stopped, they were stopped for the rest of the game. They really weren't able to heat it back up. The run game never really got going. Trinidad Shameless wasn't super efficient either. And once Kirby Smart sees you once and realizes that you have a weakness and you don't have Lane Kiffin on the other side to be able to, kind of combat that and do what he can to get around it, I think it's going to be a long day for Ole Miss. I say Georgia wins by 20 plus in a blowout. Over under probably, stays right about where it's at. But I think this is the biggest chance for a blowout in this round, I'd say. I just think Georgia's playing too good right now, and they already figured him out once. So once you figured him out once, George Kirby, he has no say in this game. Kirby Smart is the one that's going to be doing it. Yeah, I think I got George Kirby in there from Georgia. Kirby. So maybe George Kirby should show up at that game. That'd be fun.
It should.
But anyways, moving on to, I don't know if I call it the back half of the episode because we are moving quickly through here, but our year one rookie QB rankings. One game left in the regular season for all these teams, but we all know the 16-game sample size is what matters. The 17th game just all for show. We have 8 quarterbacks that we're going to rank that all started a game this year. We're not doing Riley Leonard in here because we felt like he didn't have enough. But as the list goes, Cam Ward, Tyler Shough, Jaxson Dart, Sheduer Sanders, Dillon Gabriel, Brady Cook, Quinn Ewers, and Max Brosmer. We'll start off number 8. And good old Brady Cook, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Brady Cook. And I'm going to start this off by saying he should have never been in this position to begin with. He goes undrafted because he can't yet make quick decisions on an NFL field. And that's exactly what happened when he got out there. He took a bunch of bad sacks. He threw 7 picks in 4 games. It just wasn't good. And he doesn't look like an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, pretty easy here. Brady Cook is the last guy. I feel bad for him because, like you said, he shouldn't have been in this spot. He's dealing with a, outside Power 5 receiver core, maybe even right now too, where it's John Mechie and A.D. Mitchell. I know those are, gifted athletes, but at the NFL level, that's not the guys that you want to be throwing to. And he's looked like he sucked, and that's fair because he has sucked. There is some arm talent there. It's not very accurate right now either. He's dealing with a lot of pressure, trying to make too many plays because he is down a ton. So I'm not going to fault him for it too much, but I don't think anybody, had high hopes for Brady Cook being a franchise quarterback or something like that. So number 8 for me, and he gets the last spot on this list. Number 7.
Number 7, Max Brosmer. Not much better than Brady Cook this season. Didn't make a whole lot of positive plays. And I'm just talking about drop back passes here. Nothing special. But at least he won a game as a starter. That's why he gets the nod here. But a 12 QBR this season, that is rough.
Yeah, Max Brosmer, also number 7 for me too. First game that he had was in Seattle. Pretty rough start there. I believe they got shut out that game. He threw 4 picks. The second game that he starts on Christmas against the Lions was obviously super game planned by Kevin O'Connell to put him in as few as oh shit moments that you could possibly have with the quarterback. And we saw his one oh shit moment where he was dropping back at the goal line, almost threw a pick 6 that would have ruined this game for the Vikings. But he didn't. regardless, it's not pretty with him. Every single oh shit moment turns into a very like oh shit moment with him. Inability to make plays right now. Doesn't have the arm talent I've seen either. There's not much there. But then again, people weren't holding out for Max Brosmer to be the quarterback of the future for the Vikings. So is it third string? I'm down with it, and that's what he's supposed to be this year. So number 7 for me.
Yep.
On to number 6.
Number 6, Quinn Ewers of the Dolphins. I thought he looked great against Tampa Bay. No Jalen Waddle in that one, too. At least we know he can create some plays on his own, just like he did in college. So I'm going to take that over the two guys who look like they were scared running for their lives out there. And maybe he won't get a chance to start for the Dolphins again next season. But I'm glad I put him as an option because he definitely looks about league average compared to some of the other guys that have been thrown out there as rookies.
Number 6 is where I slot Dillon Gabriel. He's appeared in 10 games this year. One win, game against Miami where they won 31-6, 13 for 18, 116 yards in that one. Has only gone over 200 passing yards once in those 10 games. Granted, some of them were, taking a knee or throwing one pass or not even completing a pass. But the one time he went over 200 yards, he threw for 52 attempts. All the big playability is just not there for him at all. I do think in between the years, probably one of the more smarter guys on this list. He only has 2 interceptions out of over 150 passes. That's not very common for a rookie QB to be able to do. But there's just no big playability. There's no playmaker. There's no moving outside the pocket, making a throw on the run. If you're up 35-0, sure, you can put him in. But if you're down by even 3 points and you need to drive, you're not going to get it from this guy. So Dillon Gabriel, number 6, I think he's, at this point, probably just going to be a decent backup in a league where you're probably going to lose every single time he starts for you. But if you need him to hold a lead, you'll probably be fine. Number 5.
So number 5 is where I have Dillon Gabriel. I agree. Definitely good enough to earn a backup job. 7 touchdowns, only 2 picks. But the problem is he doesn't have a very good arm. And I wonder how he would look if you switched him with Quinn Ewers and put him in Miami. And that's kind of why I put him over Quinn Ewers, but mostly it's because he's got a lot more film. You know that he can come out there and not freak out, not throw a bunch of picks. When it comes to this draft class, a good backup, I think, is a W in the 5th round.
Yeah. Number 5 for me is where I slot Quinn Ewers. So we're pretty scratch here through the first 4 guys. This is the guy that has probably the least experience out of the rest of the guys on this list, or definitely least experience. Only appeared in 3 games, the first of which being that 31-6 victory for Dillon Gabriel. He came in when Tua got benched. Has had 2 starts in a row now, one against Cincinnati, one against Tampa Bay, which he actually just won. And that game alone is why I have him higher than Dillon Gabriel and the other guys on this list, because he had the ability to go make a play. He had the ability where it wasn't just 100% rely on your defense, get good field position to win a game. There's plays they were scheming up for him. He had the ability to throw it downfield. He was moving around a little bit. He only took 2 sacks. Something I would like to see a bit more from him is the running. I know he's not a super, running quarterback, but in this league, you got to be able to make plays on your feet to be a decent quarterback. And I think we've seen a little bit of the other stuff from Quinn Ewers. If he's the guy for you week 1, definitely a no shit zone. But if your quarterback gets hurt and this is the guy that you have to rely on to go win you a couple of games in the season, or not even to win a couple games, to just be your quarterback to finish out the year in a lost season, I think you're okay with that. So Quinn Ewers obviously was the highest rated of his quarterbacks, a couple years ago at this point. People were talking about him being the number 1 pick, and now, he was a 7th round pick for the Miami, so it's not like he has super high expectations anymore. But I think you're okay with this guy if he's the guy that you have to rely on as backup. On to the top 4. This is where things start getting a little bit more interesting, I'd say. But I think we both have the same guy at number 4.
Number 4, I'm going with Sheduer Sanders of the Browns. Not that bad considering the circumstances this year. The Browns offense was destroyed by injuries to the few guys who you can actually trust. Sanders has made some very big plays, won some big games. I'm not ready to say that everyone made a mistake passing up on him, and I'm probably not comfortable with him being my starter, just like the last couple guys we talked about, but he could definitely play a little bit. I think he belongs in the middle here. I think he's above that backup tier too.
Yeah, Sheduer's number 4 for me as well too. 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions isn't great, but when you look at his receiver core, look at the running back situation that he has to deal with now with no Quinn, I think some things start to be a bit more understandable. Also with Sheduer, I think he's had pretty good ability to make some deep plays downfield and make some really good throws, 56 yards down the field. Just in the game against the Raiders, where I really saw him play every single play and, was really locked in on the game. He made some throws in that game that were perfect. And we saw even on the sidelines, Myles Garrett be like, oh shit, like maybe this guy could be the guy that we need. I don't know if I'm ready to say that about him either. I think the biggest thing that reminds me when I watch him is a very young Sam Darnold, where he would make some plays and some throws where you're like, damn, like this guy could really be something. And then you look at the pick that Sheduer Sanders, one of the 2 picks that he threw against the Steelers, where it was early throw, non-pressured, off your back foot, throw it up to a one-on-one, 15 yards downfield on like first down, and it gets picked. Like that's a
There's
play
no need to ever do that.
Exactly, but Sam Darnold did that a couple times in his rookie campaign too. So I think I see a lot of similarities with them, especially in arm talent as well too. Sheduer's got a cannon. As of right now, I'd say, low end starter. I think if you're the Browns and you have him as your number 1 QB next year, you're not like, oh shit, but you're not super optimistic about the season either. So I'll say Sheduer at 4. The ability to move up more than down, I'd say. Number 3, this is where things start getting fun. I think these are the real 3 quarterbacks from this class. Who do you have at number 3?
Number 3, I am going with Jaxson Dart. Dart had a lot of highs, like beating the Eagles, and he also had a lot of lows this season, like the 33-yard game a couple weeks ago. But he's a very efficient player, too. Similar numbers to Mac Jones this season. But when you watch him run on the field, that part is not very efficient to me. He gets hurt every single game, basically. If he played a full season and won 5 more games like another guy on this list, maybe he does win Rookie of the Year. But that's that little bit of, wow, this guy is kind of out of control, like almost like a right-handed Tua. It's making me a little cautious with Jaxson Dart right now.
Number 3, I hate saying this because I love him. I did put Tyler Shough at number 3. Now, if this is a spot where you have to pick through the list and you have to win the Super Bowl tomorrow, I'm probably taking Tyler Shough number 1 because he is the most clear, composed, easygoing quarterback on this list right now, I'd say. Maybe Cam Ward gives him a run for his money there, but we just had the head-to-head matchup, so Shough, maybe deserves to be higher than Cam Ward. But regardless, he's fun to watch. He makes all the throws. He's efficient for a rookie quarterback. We don't see the dumb turnovers, especially in these last 4 games from him. Now that he's gotten some sufficient runway with his games as well, too, it's not just a spot start for a quarterback that's hurt. He's been named the starting quarterback. The offense has full confidence in him, and he's got a head coach that truly believes in him and, making plays that draws up for his success. I think there's a lot of stuff here with Tyler Shough. I think he can be really good. The legs have surprised me as well, too. We saw the 2 rushing touchdowns in Tampa, where those were his only 2 rushing touchdowns, but the ability to extend plays and go get first downs on your legs, as we know, is super important for a quarterback. So Tyler Shough, I'm not faulting him for being 26, but if he was 22, he'd be number 1. So Tyler Shough, my favorite quarterback in this draft, I'd say, but still number 3. On to number 2.
At number 2, I will go with Tyler Shough. It is a very small sample size, of course, but Shough is one of the only guys who looks comfortable at the end of the game when it's close. And seems like a perfect match with Kellen Moore so far because they've been able to unlock this pinpoint accuracy that he definitely did not have in college. So far, so good. But you know how I feel about this, too. This is not the franchise guy. This is a guy you could trust until his contract is over, though.
Number 2 is where I have Jaxson Dart. I know he has probably the worst start out of any of these guys except Max Brosmer on this list with 33-yard performance against the Minnesota Vikings. But if you put any of these other quarterbacks in a spot where they don't have their head coach, their OC is already pretty incompetent as well too. They don't have any weapons, and they're going up against Brian Flores. I don't think we see a lot of great performances. Is 33 yards probably the worst that we'll see out of any of these guys? Maybe. Maybe not if Brady Cook's playing, but I don't know. Like, I can chalk up that start and just throw it away because he looked really good against the Raiders. And I know it's the Raiders. There's no Max Crosby, and there's a lot of shitty defensive players on the Raiders. But he looked calm. He looked composed. He was able to run the ball efficiently and not do too much hurt to his body. I know he took a couple of hits, but it wasn't anything crazy. He's got the best big play ability consistently out of this list. And usually when you see the big playability from rookies, a lot of turnovers comes with it. And he's not having the turnover issue. He is having the injury issue, and he puts himself in harm's way quite a bit. But he can make any play. He can make any throw. And the legs have surprised me a ton as well, too. Not just from the sure running part, but just the athlete that he is. I didn't expect him to be as much because it felt like he didn't run as much as what he's running right now in the NFL back in college. But give him Malik Neighbors back, put Wandale back as the number 2 guy, give Skattebo back there, keep Tyrone Tracy and add another piece in free agency and get him a real head coach instead of Mike Kafka calling plays for him. I think he's a pretty good guy, and I think Giants fans are understandably happy about what they have in him, and I think he will be a franchise quarterback for them. Good to see we're aligned, though, on number 1. Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I have Cam Ward above Dart and Tyler Shough because Cam Ward never really had that crazy blow-up game. He's just on a really terrible Titans team, and he showed a lot of mental toughness this year, and that's something that you just need to have if you want to be a starter in this league for a long time. He was comparable to guys like C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, so I think he's going to be perfectly fine. I've talked about it before the draft, after the draft. This was no consolation prize. This was the number 1 pick for a reason. He makes some very special plays, but he's not reckless. He's a very smart dude, too.
Yeah. Number 1, Cam Ward. Very easy here, like you said. Started every single game for the Titans this year, has not had a multiple interception game. That's going against some really good defenses. Houston, Chargers, Patriots, Rams, Denver, the Browns. He beat as well too. Like, he's played some really good teams and came out alive. Yeah, I know a lot of them were losses, but they weren't like terrible performances from any specific game that we've seen from him in his career so far. These past 4 games specifically, 8 touchdowns to 1 interception in the last 4 games. He's fun to watch. You look at his receiving core, there's nothing there. The running backs, no shot to Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard, but probably seen some better days in the running back room as well too. And what I love about him is when you see a quarterback that makes, all these crazy plays in the backfield, usually it turns out in a spot that they're trying to run and make plays downfield with their feet. He's very early looking to throw off those, which I like. Keep your eyes downfield. It's something that I really like about Caleb Williams as well, too. He's always looking to throw the ball, and if not, then run the ball. Keeps you healthier as well, too. When you're doing that stuff, you're not taking as many hits as we see of Jaxson Dart. He's the exact opposite. When he gets out of the pocket, he looks to run all the time. That's probably the biggest reason why he's taking so many hits. But Cam Ward doesn't put himself in harm's way. The feet, he hasn't used them too much, but he hasn't really needed to or had to based off of how the games were. It's no reason to put yourself in harm's way. I think you give him a good head coach, you give him wide receiver 1, and give him a couple good running backs. Tennessee's going to be really happy. I'd say this is a hit on that pick. So Cam Ward, number 1 for both of us, as he deserves to be, with being the number 1 overall pick. Moving on to the running back position, we got 9 guys here instead of 8. Call it J.J. McCarthy. Jeanty, Henderson, Judkins, JCM, Monangai, Woody Marks, Omarion Hampton, RJ Harvey, and Cam Skattebo. Pretty good class for breaking running backs, I'd say. All 9 of these guys can potentially be starters in the league long term, I'd say. But one of them's got to be the worst. Who do you have here starting off at number 9?
I'm going to start things off with Woody Marks, who I do like a lot. But some guys above him have done more with less opportunity. That was kind of the tiebreaker here. Worse quarterback situations than C.J. Stroud. But after he wins a starting job in Houston, he's been a guy you want to get the ball a ton. 3.5 yards per carry, some pretty good hands. He was just the odd man out here for me.
I'll start off with JCM. Bill, I love Bill. Obviously, was a guy I took in fantasy. Flipped once I could, but he's pretty one-dimensional right now. I don't think he's a guy that you can give the ball to, 20 times a game. And I know that in Washington they have very specific roles carved out with him, Chris Rodriguez, and Jeremy McNichols. But we don't see him get any of the receiving work, which sucks. So I don't really know how good he is there. Home run ability, I think, top tier out of any of these guys. I'd say there's probably Jeanty, Travion, and maybe RJ Harvey are a bit better than that. But I think he's in the top half of those guys when he comes here. I just don't think he's a super bruiser. I don't think he's a guy that really can take a ton of hits. And I think that's the biggest reason why we don't see him get too many carries in a lot of games. So JCM, I enjoy him, but I think there's 8 guys better than him in this class. Number 8,
I got JCM. Bill gets the tiebreaker because he had to deal with Marcus Mariota for most of the season, Mariota. So I don't give him the bottom spot. Almost 5 yards per carry as a 7th rounder is great. He kind of carries the ground game over the last, I'll say, quarter of the season, and some good teams too. Like he crushed the Cowboys. Of course, he has a good game against the Giants, who haven't been good, but I guess, like you said here, the speed is a pretty big tiebreaker too. So I went with JCM 8th.
Number 8 is where I put Woody Marks. So we are, I won't say lined up, but we have 2 for 2 of the guys that we have included. 3.5 yards per carry is not flashy. I'll give him that. But a lot of these carries that he's had late in games, people know that the ball's going to him, and it's downhill running. Don't turn over the football. Just get your couple of yards and trust our defense. And I think that's why we see some of the limited play calls for him as well too. Nothing super flashy. But we see when this guy gets the ball in his hands, especially as a receiver, he's got the ability to make plays. Had a 50-yard catch against the Niners. He had a 37-yard catch against the Bucs early in the year as well too. There is that big play ability, and he's a good receiver. One of the best in this class, maybe top 3, I'd say maybe 4. Unfortunately, haven't seen that long run from him. But then again, a lot of these runs are coming in late game spots, so I can't really fault him for that. That's why he's ahead of Bill. Probably not going to get to 1,000 yards this year, but still a really good rookie season for a guy that was a 4th-round pick and really didn't have a role in the first 4 or 5 games of the year. Number 7.
All right, number 7, I'm going with Omarion Hampton of the Chargers. If he doesn't miss half the season, who knows how far he rises, because Hampton has looked great when he's on the field, 4.5 yards per carry. He's got 33 catches already too, so far, so good. Looks like a potential 3-down back. I guess some of the other guys have more all-pro potential than him so far, what I've seen, though.
This is rough. Number 7, I put Monangai here because I do think he's very one-dimensional right now. When he lines up as a receiver and gets a target, you could tell there is a bit of, is this guy coming down and nail me right now? Looking away from the ball before he gets it. His hands are not good. But then again, as a downhill runner, he's the best in this class. I'll give him that, except for maybe Ashton Jeanty and Cam Skattebo. Doesn't have the home run speed. I know he's had some big runs, but I wouldn't necessarily call it all because of him in those. I think if you give Bill in those exact same touches, he's pretty similar there. I love Monangai. I just think he's pretty one-dimensional as a downhill runner, which is good. He's great down the goal line. He's had a stretch of 4 straight games with a touchdown earlier in the season, but I don't think he's as good as the 6 other guys when it comes to being, an all pro, all purpose back. Number 6.
At number 6, I have Cam Skattebo. Cam broke his leg in the first half of the season, but he was on pace for some pretty ridiculous stuff. He had 7 touchdowns, great efficiency, a comparable number of receiving yards to Travion Henderson, which is pretty ridiculous. But the Giants completely fall apart after he gets hurt. He's clearly important. I just think that there's kind of an injury tax when it comes to running backs. Most guys are never the same. Hopefully he can come back strong, though.
Number 6 is where I have RJ Harvey, and he's another guy kind of like JCM that I don't know if I want to give the ball 20 times a game, but if he's a guy that you give the ball to 10 times and you draw up 10 plays for him, he's going to get a touchdown in there. He's going to have a couple of big plays, and I think you're going to be really, pleased with his outcome and his performance. He's a great receiver. I'd say best in this class. 5 touchdowns through the air this year, 46 receptions on 54 targets. As a runner, again, like I said, not a 3-down back. He is a 3rd-down back, kind of just thrown into this opportunity now if J.K. Dobbins out for the season. Probably one of the biggest reasons why I'm not super high on the Broncos right now, because they don't want to run the football, and 2, I just don't think RJ Harvey's the guy for it. But he's got big play ability. He's fast. He's quick. He's agile, and he's a great receiver, best in the class. So RJ Harvey, number 6. On to number 5.
My number 5 is going to be RJ Harvey. Harvey leads all these guys in touchdowns this year. We knew Sean Payton was going to use him in the passing game, of course, but and which he's been great at too, by the way, 46 catches. But also after Dobbins gets hurt, he's had to do everything that requires a running back to do if they're involved in the play with this team. So it is nice to see that he's more of a specialist. That's why I have him in the top 5.
Number 5, I don't know if it's a bit of a shocker, but I do have Travion Henderson here. This is one of my favorite backs going into the class. I think I had him at number 2 when we did this earlier, just behind Ashton Jeanty, about a year ago now at this point. The biggest thing that I don't like with Travion Henderson is it's a lot of negative or no-yard plays that aren't really because of the O-line. He just tries to do too much and it doesn't work out. And I think that's one of the reasons why he wasn't getting a ton of snaps in the first 8 games of the season. What's changed is that he has not only just had those small plays, but he's also turned into big plays. He's had 2 50-plus yard touchdowns against Tampa, 2 long touchdowns against Buffalo, long run against New York, long run against Cleveland as well too. I just think he looks for the home run too much, and that can hurt him. But then again, if you have the ability to hit the home run, might as well try for it every single time. There's reasons why, Kyle Schwarber exists. As a receiver, I don't think there's much there either. We've seen New England try to use him a bit more in recent weeks, but I still think Ramondre Stevenson's probably the better option when it comes to that. And I don't think Ramondre is a great receiver either. Still a good back. Still, I think should be a starter in this league, and I think eventually will be the guy that you can fully trust of getting 20-plus carries in a game. Don't think he's quite there yet, but still a good rookie season, and the home run ability is top 2 in this league. Not this league, this class.
This group, yeah.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4 is my guy, Kyle Monangai. As a 7th-round rookie, he was able to immediately split time with DeAndre Swift, who is also having a great year. So I think that is what separates him from the other group, with the Krosky Merritts, because even though he's having a great year, he can't really take those receiving snaps from the other guys. And for a guy who's not known for his hands or his speed, he's translated very nicely to the NFL. This is his first year, and he's already trying at least to become this every down back, even though it's not perfect yet. I see the vision.
Number 4 is where I put Cam Skattebo, and unfortunately his season is the shortest out of all these guys, I'd say. Maybe Omarion Hampton is similar in amount of games played right now, but Cam Skattebo, obviously the broken ankle. I don't think he's going to be too, hurt by this in the long term, which is cool. Seems like he's already recovering well. And his speed is something that's shocked me. I thought he'd be a fullback in the NFL. Just watching how he played at college, and I thought he's one of those guys that's just so strong and so in comparison to the other guys at the college level that it just wasn't going to work out once it got to the NFL. Now I could see a scenario where he is a Marshawn Lynch type of guy with the receiving ability that is ridiculous as well too for a guy that's his size. Had 6 catches in a couple of games before he got hurt. Obviously really good around the goal line. 3 touchdowns against Philly in that game, 5 yards per carry against a really good Philadelphia D-line as well too. So I like Cam Skattebo. I think his speed is better than what I expected. His big playability, he didn't have a play longer than 24 yards, but I think he's tough to take down every single time, and that can wear on a defense. We saw Derrick Henry, and he's somehow became really, really fast, but there's times in his career where he didn't even have to be that fast, and he made a lot of big plays. So I don't know if I'm saying Cam Skattebo's Derrick Henry, but I think he's got the ability to play 3-4 years in the league and be really good. So Skattebo, 20 touchdown possible type guy if he gets into the right situation. He's my number 4. Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to go with Quinn Judkins. Throwback, do it all back once again here. But unfortunately, Judkins is another guy with a massive injury, nasty lower body that ends his season. But 800 yards in 14 games, he probably would have hit 1,000. And what will he look like when he comes back? History says Nick Chubb, but at least for now, Cleveland hits big time on this pick. That's why I'm keeping him up here, and same as you.
Yeah, Quinshon's my number 3, but he does have an asterisk next to his name because I do think this injury will at least affect him for a couple of years, which sucks. It wasn't like a simple torn ACL or whatever. He dislocated his knee or his ankle or whatever it was, and it was bad. And from what I've heard, there's a chance that he's a guy that doesn't return to what he was, and that would suck because Quinshon's a really fun back to watch. He's got the strength and the speed combo. I don't know if he's a guy that you line up as a receiver, but you can definitely throw screens to him, and he's going to make guys miss and get downfield. Good touchdown ability. We saw him take several steps at the Wildcat and just run downhill and go through guys, which is exactly what we thought was going to happen with him when he was at Ohio State. He's a good back. Not the most glamorous yards per carry, but Cleveland was playing in spots that it never was going to be the most glamorous yards per carry. Still had the ability to hit the big play and make it work. So Quinshon hopefully comes back healthy because for both of us, the number 3 back in this class. On to number 2, and I think this is where we differ.
Yes, for sure. Maybe in 4 years from now, I'm going to look back and realize this is where Hampton should have been all along. But I'm just a sucker for the big playability. So I have Travion Henderson at the number 2 spot. He doesn't get the ball for like 9 weeks in a row, and he's still right behind Jeanty in yards, over 5 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns this year. And he's caught almost every single one of his targets from Drake May. I think he's going to end up being a perfect fit for New England. So I see him as a top guy in this class still.
I'm a big Omarion Hampton fan. I think there's a good reason why he was picked in the first round, and he's my number 2 back in this class. When you go to the last full game that he had before he got injured, the game against the Giants, which the Chargers actually lost, but 12 carries, 128 yards, a touchdown, a 54-yard run in that one with 5 catches and 37 receiving yards. He's a do-it-all back. He can hit the big play. We saw him the game before that have 19 carries in a win against the Broncos. You know that he can take 20-plus carries, 20-plus touches, including receiving work. I thought there would be a little bit of a period of time after he came back from his injury where we don't see him at top speed. I think we've seen that a little bit, but I still think he's been a good, solid back for them when they've needed him down the stretch. I think he'll be fine in the long term. And receiving, 32 catches on 35 targets, pretty good, especially in a spot with Justin Herbert where, they're having to deal with this O-line that doesn't have much back there. And there is some of these super off-schedule catches that he's having to make. So I think Omarion Hampton's going to be around for a long time. I think he's really good. I think he's got a chance to be, 1,200, 1,300 rusher in this league with another 50 to 60 catches as a back too. So you get that, you're looking close to 2K all purpose. So Omarion Hampton, one of my favorite backs in this class, number 2. But that leaves us number 1, and I'm happy that you left this guy number 1.
Ashton Jeanty, over 1,000 yards from scrimmage this year. Great hands, great balance, very powerful, 10 touchdowns, no injury issues, which is basically his only knock from his college days. So as good as he could have done with this team this year.
Yeah, I know everybody was thinking, how in the world would you transfer from Boise to the NFL? Like, that's like playing at the D3 NIA. Like, it's not even close. As Trent Green and all these guys like to say, everybody knew if you watched Ashton Jeanty in college last year that it would transfer because he had like 240 yards against Oregon, and they knew the ball was going to him every single play, and they still couldn't do anything about it. Regardless, we're not talking about their college days. We're talking about their pro days. And Ashton Jeanty, while the yards per carry aren't glorious, the touches when he gets any bit of space are. You can watch the game against the Giants. You can watch the game against the Texans. You can watch several games this year. If he gets a sliver of space, he's going to make something of it. And when he does, he will hit the home run. He's had a couple of touchdowns over 50 yards this year, one against the Bears, one against the Texans. He has the ability to take 20-plus carries in a game. We saw 24 against Houston. We saw 23 against the Titans in a win. We saw 21 against the Bears earlier in the season. And the receiving game is something that surprised me as well, too. As a Raider fan, I was used to Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a great downhill runner. As a receiver, I know he's gotten better, but he's never really been that type of guy. I thought that's what we're going to have with Ashton Jeanty, and I was okay with that. But Ashton Jeanty's not that. He will go run a route for you. He'll make plays downfield after the catch with it as well, too. 5 receiving touchdowns, more than Josh Jacobs has in his entire career. I would love to see us get Ashton Jeanty the ball more at the goal line, but then again, we don't have the ball at the goal line too often. So I don't think there's any worry there. He's going to be a good back, and I think he's got the ability to be, Pro Bowl, all-pro level good once we get into it. Still only 22 years old. And once you get an O-line and once you get a quarterback and, some other stuff around him, I think you're looking at a guy that can run for 1,600 plus in a season. All right. Those are our rookie running back rankings. Now on to the top 40 rookie wide receiver rankings that we have.
Number 40, Tez Johnson.
Whoa. I don't know if I'd say that. That's rude, Tez. It's an unnecessary
Well, just because there's so many guys.
That's fair. But anyways, that's what we have for this. We'll move on to Skyler. Week 18 mock draft is what I'm seeing on here.
Yes, sir. So I figured it was time for another mock draft, right? We got a brand new order. Things have shaken up. New number 1 team. For now. Congratulations. But with this one, I didn't do any trades. I figured we're only a week away from getting the actual draft order and, Black Monday next week. We'll see who's sticking around and who's getting fired. So not going to be perfect, but this is what I see happening if the draft was today. Let's kick it off with the Raiders, number 1. If they do pick here, I think it should be Fernando Mendoza, Indiana. There's been a lot of Dante Moore rumors, but I told you when we did our week 1 predictions, I think Mendoza would be the right guy for the Raiders because they're not looking for a backfield creator. They're looking for a guy to get the ball out quick if they aren't able to get a first-round tackle here and get the quarterback. That's what you're looking for. Don't run around. So I'm sure you'd be happy with that, right?
Yeah, I'm good with that. If that happens, I will be quite all right.
Perfect. Number 2 is the Giants now, and they're probably going to be looking to trade this pick for sure. But I'm not doing that today. So feel like they've put a lot of money towards their defensive line already, so I'm not going to have them draft one. I'm going to take Jordan Tyson here, Arizona State. The only issue is the injuries with him. He's had a major injury every year in college, it feels like. But it also feels like the kind of guy that they are looking for in New York. They're kind of looking for their possession guy. They have Malik Neighbors already when he's healthy. They have Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. Jordan Tyson brings another level, and he's good friends with Cam Skattebo too. So that'd be fun. Luckily for the Jets at number 3, that leaves one of the top 2 quarterbacks, Dante Moore. I don't know how I feel about staying at 3 and still getting a quarterback. I don't know if it's going to be possible. But once again, we're not doing trades today. So today, the quarterback falls there. This would be perfect. They don't need to trade up for a guy, but they might have to if they want to be better than 2-15 next year. Or yeah, 2-15. So there's Dante Moore. He's clearly the number 2 guy. Everybody else went back to school. We'll talk about Ty Simpson later, but I don't have him in the top 10. Number 4, the Titans. I have Arvell Reese, linebacker, Ohio State. I'm sure that Cam Ward would love a receiver, but at the end of the day, new front office here. Best player available is probably Arvell Reese. I didn't think too hard about it. And, Tyson is probably their guy. So if he's gone, then they wouldn't have the opportunity to take him, of course. Number 5, Arizona, definitely in the market for quarterback. We'll see if Ty Simpson does something crazy against the Indiana defense. Maybe this is going to be the new hot pick in the mock draft, but I still have Spencer Fano, the tackle here. Whoever's playing quarterback has not been able to create plays. They haven't been able to really run the ball. And maybe that's because Connor was out this year, but I don't know if Connor's coming back, man. He's had so many brutal injuries. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns. Let's give Sheduer Sanders a big target to throw to. That's Carnell Tate, receiver from Ohio State. Sounds like he is going to get another year, another shot to figure this thing out. So let's get him a real wide receiver 1. How about that? Defense has been fine. Number 7 is the Washington Commanders. They got the oldest defense in the world. So let's give them Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State. Not a lot of corners this season with, and even edge rushers too. We talked about it a little bit with Ruben Bain, with the kind of arm length and speed that you want to take in the top 10. Caleb Downs does fit that criteria. So even though he's a safety, he's probably a guy that someone would take a chance on, like Washington here. Number 8, New Orleans Saints. I had some fun with this one. I gave them Jeremiah Love. They need some help on the defense, but I think maybe since things ended so well this season, Kellen Moore would be able to have the power to say, guys, please let me take another weapon on offense. Let's just be an offensive team and we can win the South. Trust me. And if they let him do that, Jeremiah Love would be a great fit there. Alvin Kamara is clearly on his last legs here, and the guys that they did bring in are not on the level of Jeremiah Love. Number 9, Kansas City Chiefs. At least all the rumors are saying that Kelsey is done after this year. So I did give him Kenyon Sadiq again, tight end from Oregon. Anything is possible. We could even see their coach retire this season. But as of right now, as of today, I think they would go best player available on the offense and spend some money on the defense if they have any left over. Number 10, the Bengals. I didn't think too hard about it. Their defense is terrible. Ruben Bain is still here at number 10. There are some concerns about what his combine numbers are going to look like, but we're talking about a freak athlete that is still going to go in the first round here. So that's the top 10. I'll skip around to notables, but number 11, Miami Dolphins. I gave him Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama. I think we're at the stage where Ty Simpson is not going to be there at 20 for Pittsburgh. Someone's going to get desperate and take him because he's proven that he has a very good arm and he's not a dummy. So that's the criteria for this year, at least, to go in the first round as a quarterback. We'll skip around here. Baltimore at 16 could be interesting too. Another spot, maybe if they lose to Pittsburgh, could have some coach and quarterback controversy. But I just gave him Peter Woods, D-tackle from Clemson. Matabuke had that scary neck injury, and all I've heard from the Ravens fans is, dude, we cannot stop the run. We have the thinnest D-line in the entire NFL, and I'm sure the Jets will make a run for their money on that accusation. But other than the Jets, they're probably right behind them. The Jets, though, at 18, Mekhi Lemon falls to them. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking he falls to 18, but every year the smaller guys that aren't 6 feet tall end up slipping a little further, like JSN. Maybe JSN has changed that, though, for us. We'll see. Let's scroll down the list here. San Francisco 49ers. I gave him an edge rusher, TJ Parker. Saleh is very stingy when it comes to his defensive line. And again, they have to check in with him and make sure it's okay with Shanahan and with the GM, but they took Mykel Williams. He was okay before he got hurt, but he wasn't anything special. So Saleh's just going to keep taking shots on the D-line until he finds his guy. And that's pretty much all the notables. The rest are interior guys. So that's what I got for the first round. I'm sure things will change drastically. Senior Bowl's coming up pretty soon here too. But I'm excited because we're both in the top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think at this point, the biggest thing that changes the draft is if Dante Moore decides to go back to school or not. If he goes back to school,
then we're fucked.
This draft changes a lot. Because then we maybe see Ty Simpson become not just the 11th pick, but a number 3 overall pick. teams don't love him, then we'll probably see Nesmeyer, Mateer, Beck, Aller, Klubnik, one of those guys slide up the draft somewhere.
God.
And if Fernando's really the only round one quarterback that's there, or top half of round one quarterback that's there, and you have the number one pick and you're the Raiders and you feel like, hey, maybe we shouldn't take a quarterback right now. Maybe you don't fall in love with Fernando. That's a situation where you might get a shit ton back for that pick from even the Jets or the Dolphins or the Rams or whoever it may be. Like, you get a lot back from that pick. So I do think if Dante Moore doesn't go to the draft this year, things change a lot. But I do think at this point, there's no reason not to. If he goes next year, there's Carr, Lagway, Mayava, Manning, Metzmaker, Raiola, saying tellers that are waiting for him. I think he's got a better chance to go top 3 this year. I do think that he goes. And I think he's locked up, number 2 quarterback unless he loses to Texas Tech by 50 points and throws 8 interceptions or something like that. So I think he's good there. Obviously, if Fernando goes 1, I will be happy if that is the Raiders. Moving on. MLB Notables, there's not much. It's been a very slow week in the MLB. 7 days ago, we'll start off on Christmas Eve. Pete Fairbanks is really the only deal that we saw 1 year to Miami. Luckily, to be their closer, Ronnie Henriquez had a really good year there as well, too, so we'll see how that goes. Christmas, Tyler Soderstrom, that's cool. I already talked about that, though. The 26th, there wasn't anything. The 27th, J.J. Bleday, 1 year deal in Cincinnati.
Whoa.
Dan Myers goes to Cincinnati in a trade from the Marlins. Hunter Harvey, 1 year deal with the Chicago Cubs. The 28th, Zach Eflin, a 1 year deal with the Orioles. The 29th, Esteury Ruiz got traded to the Miami Marlins for some guy I've never heard of. And then today, Kirby Yates, 1 year deal with the Angels, and that's literally it. There's not much. It's been a slow week in the MLB. They maybe just took Christmas off, wait until the new year. I don't know if that's like a gentleman's agreement in the MLB, but that's how it's been. So hopefully next week we'll get back to the big deals and stuff going on there.
Yeah, I didn't remember anything big happening.
Yeah. Moving on, layups, bowl predictions. Rough week. One of the first rough weeks that we've had in a while at this point. I think we've been plus money for the last at least 4 or 5 weeks. But we did go 1 for 4 here. The layups went 0 for 2. I had Carolina plus 7.5 for Seattle. That did not hit. Skyler had Jacksonville minus 6.5 versus Indy. That did not hit either. This week, I have Buffalo minus 7 versus the Jets. I mean, if Brady Cook's playing, I don't see the Jets scoring more than 7 to 10 points. And I think Buffalo is due for a game that's just going to right the ship. And as we saw earlier in the year, it was week 2, I believe, Buffalo just played a close game against the Ravens. You thought maybe the Jets were going to be in it because they just had a really good game against the Steelers. And Buffalo just steamrolled them. This game's down Buffalo. I don't know why it is a 7-point. I'd expect it to be, no offense, but maybe it makes it easier for you, 21 plus here.
Yeah. No, that's, yeah, I agree with you there. I'm just hoping that we get our first interception of the season in this game so we don't go out as total losers. But yeah, I'm sticking with the 6.5 for my layup here, but it's college. It's the Sugar Bowl. I got Georgia covering 6.5 against Ole Miss. I didn't quite go for the blowout like you were predicting, but I'm on the same page here. Whether it's 10 or 30, it's the same idea. Georgia's defense should be able to shut these guys down.
Full predictions last week. I had the Houston Texans money line Saturday versus the Chargers. That goes green thanks to a very hot start from the Texans and then getting cold after that, but still good enough for the win. Skyler had San Diego State plus 136 versus number 25 North Texas. Did not happen. North
Crazy
Texas
game.
pulls off that one. This week, the Carolina Panthers are playing for the division on Saturday. They seem to be the team that plays well when it matters most this year. I know I just predicted them last week to cover, and they lost by 17 or whatever. But regardless, I have Carolina going into Tampa and getting a victory to win the division outright. Is like plus 130, something like that. So nothing too crazy. But yeah, Carolina, Bryce Young going to the playoffs.
With my bold prediction, I went with a game that does not really matter that much. I just didn't love some of the other games that actually did matter because, will they find out something about I know they tried to schedule it in a way that guys didn't sit before the game started, but if they find something out, maybe the quarterback does get pulled at halftime. So I avoided it. I'm going Green Bay plus 235 to win at Minnesota. Here's the thing. Jordan Love or Malik Willis, I don't care. Either way, against Minnesota, there's no way those guys should be playing J.J. McCarthy while he's injured in a game that doesn't matter. If it's Max Brosmer, Green Bay should win a very, very ugly game, but I'm still going to pick them.
Yeah, I think Green Bay's locked into the 7 seed, I want to say. I don't think they can move. I was
That's
also thinking
probably
about
why.
taking this, though.
Yeah.
But regardless, even if it's Clayton Tune versus Max Brosmer, I think you're looking at a pretty even quarterback conversation there. But I don't know. I don't know if they'd even bench Malik Willis if it came down to it. Who knows? But that's going to do it for episode 275. Episode 276 next year.
Next year. Yeah.
First episode of 2026 will be cool. So happy New Year's, everyone. Still Merry Christmas if for some reason you're still celebrating. But happy bowl season. Happy Black Monday will happen by the time that we get back. That'll be cool. We'll be talking about all the coaches that get fired or don't get fired, I'd imagine. Playoff predictions, that'll have to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of power rankings in there as well, too. Who knows? We'll know the semifinals for college football, which would be cool as well, too. That'll be fun. Any other stuff?
The Warriors are back in the 8 seed after beating the Nets barely.
Haven't watched a Warrior game in a while.
I've avoided most of them. It's been bad.
I watch more Sharks games.
There you go. Sharks have been great. Yeah.
They've been good. Yeah. I'll take it. Better than what they've been.
My brother's going tomorrow.
Oh. Which one?
Spencer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Who are they playing? How do you know that?
Yeah, they're playing Minnesota.
That's wild.
Yeah. Who they're pretty good, I think. Yeah.
I think they are good. Yeah. They just traded for somebody too.
Uh-huh.
But that'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week for our full-on hockey episode.
Happy New Year, Kyle. Keep your puck on the ice.
I will.
And your
I'll
stick.
keep my stick on the ice too.